Distinguished participants, dear conference teams, dear colleagues, it is my pleasure to be with you 17th Lumen International Scientific Conference. Today we are going to consider and discuss about rethinking social action, core values in practices. I am together with you from Iasi University. I am Vice Director of Institute of Graduate Studies, Vice Chair of Societal Research Development Center, Chair of Entrepreneurship and Innovation in Education Department, and Head of Computer Education and Instructional Technology Department. Today, we are going to analyze societal researches for the future of education and shared values and the role of emerging technologies and research by considering shared future, shared development and transformation for connected societies. We experienced COVID-19 and we faced with the transformation by changing the school culture and system, and we become more apparent. We can easily see the impact of the online education during COVID-19. Now, we need to discuss about the future of education. We need to analyze the learning and teaching, different contexts and different strategies for learners. We need to understand the future skills, and we need to set the principles, strategies, and techniques for developing the skills of learners for future of the education and for future of the societies. In order to understand the future of education and the nature of learning and teaching by analyzing the skills development, we need to set and we need to determine existing body of knowledge about societal works, societal studies, societal researches, and also understand the current practices for shared features. Of course, belonging to these existing body of knowledge and our practices, we need to give some suggestions for the future. By following up the presentation of my research, I would like to tell about my recent studies. I am a member of an abstracted information technology platform and working with the NGOs about disability for the works of the smart societies. I pay attention to the importance of diversity management, sensitivity training, disability, global citizenship for smart society. During the COVID-19 period of time, of course, we are facing with the some impacts of the COVID-19 during these days, but mainly in the 2 years, I delivered several speeches about inclusive education, MOOCs, social works, online learning in different international webinars in different countries. I work for a guest editing role in the issue of future online learning and education for education relevance, humanized, flexible, and smart, and also issue of responsible artificial intelligence and education, policy principles, design, and implementation. I am editor in the nearest university online journal of education, societal research and development journal, and journal of inclusive educational research. You are welcome to submit your studies to this journal too. Also, during these years, and still I am working on artificial intelligence education, metaverse, open education resources, comparative evaluation of textbooks, and inclusive policies. What I have done so far about the disability projects, we have prepared some national database studies about disability, inclusive education practices, and entrepreneurship community analysis in the pandemic period of time with my colleagues. And also, I become a co-authors of UNESCO-supported handbooks, which I indicated here about guidance on open educational practices during school closure, utilizing open education resources under COVID pandemic in line with the UNESCO open education resources recommendation, and also guidance on providing open and distance learning for students with disabilities during school closures, enhancing inclusive learning under COVID-19. These are the outcome of my recent studies, which I have been co-authored and worker on the projects. These are the list of my recent studies, which is about, again, open educational resources, about the role of societal research and centers in analyzing society in pandemic times, is about inclusive education in this digital transformation, also digital citizenship practices, teacher competencies based on the sustainable development goals, tolerance education, accessible services, even in the tourism and hospitality, by the emerging technology practices, critical friendship and skills in online education, diversity management, and the school cultural studies about leadership and the school principles for teacher motivation. After all these research studies, we can see that COVID-19 makes some transformation process more quickly, and we become more apparent that all human beings are equal, all human beings have new ways of life, new codes of behaviors for connected societies. So transformation become a keyword for us to understand the reflection of integrative of experiences, what we have experienced and what we have contributed to make for the value of the societies for shared future. So we need to understand the nature of the transformational leadership to make a commitment member of a group in a change, and having a vision through the guide the change of inspiration is very important. So we need to understand how to work in a team work context to give a value for the future. We experience butterfly effect. Everywhere has had the same context condition that we are experiencing in the COVID-19, all the safety, health, economic, educational constraints of the societal impacts. So because of all these reasons, we understand that we need to clear and understandable language we need to have. We need to pay attention for needs and expectation. We need to evaluate performance in relation to academic and transferable skills development, and we need to provide a value for the future. For all this, readiness to change and transformation, policy and decision-making mechanism, institutional support, intellectual capacity, learning community, culture, these are very important for to be ready for change and transformation. In order to analyze societal actions, we need to analyze before and during COVID-19. Of course, all we are in higher education platforms and the context, we need to analyze reflections in education. These are the new tendencies we need to consider. Of course, change we need to put forward to development. We need to consider transformation, adaptation to societal values and ethics, skills for professional development, new course of life for learners, understanding the nature of learners, equal look for equal lives. We need to pay attention to management, how to make the societies or individuals to make equal look and equal lives together by concentrating on the collaboration, culture, and partnership. In my study, I divided it two phases. First is we need to understand social actions, core values in education. What these research studies, reports are telling about us for social action and core values in education. New tendencies and new ways of life standards have changed the nature of learning and teaching for the future of education. Future skills in digital transformation shed a light on new causal behaviors as social action and core values for shared future. For this reason, it is essential to foster the practice of transformational leadership with the future skills in all levels of education. UNESCO, with monitoring reports, puts an emphasis on inclusion and education by underlining the importance of all means all. So, as far as we can see that this report shows us the key factors of exclusions of learner in educational system related to background, identity, ethnicity, language, religion. All these are important as creating the core values for social action and research to shape the future of education. All means all relies on equal looks, equal lives, and we need to manage all these differences to make a qualified services for all. Transformation in societies based on digitalization relies on the inclusiveness and accessibility to provide services for all. In this respect, universal education and value education become essential to foster core values as attention and respect for the collaboration and solidarity. Reframing humanism for shared future becomes the direction of social action and core values. UNESCO points out enlightening education as a global common good. So, education can be considered as a global collective responsibility. These key ideas gives us an insight on building together actions through negotiation, communication, mutual support, and cooperation. Recent studies point out the use of technology and social works based on ethical standards, teaching framework for digital sustainability, working on the digital divide and technology literacy, and the use of MOOCs in social inclusion, ethical responsibility in societal actions, digital education of children, democratization of education through the use of new technologies. These are the core values, core ideas during the COVID-19 period of time. Recent studies put an emphasis. So, model of learning in COVID-19 time, is this sustainable for future education? This is the second part of my research. Recent studies in online learning based on the perceptions of students and teachers. Of course, during the COVID-19 time, we face with the online education practices more apparent. Of course, this pedagogy, these learning styles we have experiencing more than 20 years, but COVID-19 period of time shows us that online learning can be happen in the perceptions of teachers and students. So, what we have all we can get from all these studies, it can be seen that professors are more motivated with online teaching and rather than students, although students and teachers face with challenges in online education. On the other hand, another uh, studies gives an information about online learning based on students' perspective, and it is seen that online learning cannot be good expected results due to the lack of access to the internet based on technical and different kind of problems and challenges. This shows us that uh, people or learners or teachers find a chance to compare a traditional classroom and online learning in COVID-19 time. And students experiences challenges in online learning, and teachers face with challenges availability of facilities, network and internet usage, and this creates some kind of challenges for regional base of diversities. And we started to think about how to make equal accessible learning environments for all. These are the good practices from my point of view to show us how differences can be managed, we can create then strategies for inclusive policies for rethinking social actions based on a core values in practices. Future direction of education relies on online education. Future skills and core values become needed to empower educational practices through value-adding actions in societies. In this respect, this research aims to evaluate conducted research related to societal values and action in education within digitalization. In this following, research questions are trying to set existing body of knowledge for future projections. So in this research, I try to analyze during the COVID-19 what kind of themes and topics are discussed to give a value for the society based on their research within this digitalization by countries and by the keywords to be studied. And we can see that these are the countries: United States, United Kingdom, Philippines, South Africa, Brazil, Germany, Canada, Australia are the basic countries who make and research about social studies, social research by using the importance of the digitalization and technology. What are the key studies and key words about social studies and social research during the COVID-19? We can see that mostly digital transformation, COVID-19, online learning, e-learning, distance education, social work, digital literacy, social work education. These are the keywords which have done and which have studied by different researchers. And this shows us that online education online education become more popular keywords in COVID-19 in education system in relation to social values. What are the considered action in practices? We need to consider the skills, information, research, teamwork, and responsibilities. We need to give the value for the future by developing these skills, especially teamwork, responsibilities, research, and information. Current situation shows us universal education based on inclusiveness, universal values and design, peer supporting learning, and attention and respect are very important key themes to be discussed for the future of the education. Digital education strategy, technological infrastructure, national policies, all level of education, and digital learning resources are important for the future of education and schools. So we need to radical change to make the schools and education based on human connection and interaction for the future of the policies, practices, assessment by exchanging all these together. We need to be smart for connected studies. We need to share. We need to create a motivation, action, respect, and transformation in order to be smart in connected studies and societies. Future of the education relies on the giving the value adding actions. So if we want to go future of the education based on value adding actions, we need to create the skills of the responsibility. We need to create the culture of the solidarity, collaboration for the shared future. When we reimagine the education, we need to understand that we need to consider the building together of the negotiation, communication, mutual support, and cooperation for a commoning way of thinking. Rethinking education towards more than 50 years, up to 50 years, we need to be understanding the nature of the strategic management. We need to be create our strategic plans and action plans for the future of the education. When we need to consider the future of education, we need to reflect on learning, collaboration, digital form of learning, self-determination, social responsibility, value education, and story sharing. We need to experience something. We need to touch the value of the sharing for shared future. Of course, as we can see the result of these studies, online education become the future of the education. But we need to understand the nature of the open pedagogy. It is not same with the traditional pedagogy. So we need to understand how to create innovation and creativity, how to make a reflective practice, peer review, connected community, and integrate the trust together. We are in the sustainable development goals, missions, and actions. So learning driven education, our mission for the sustainable development goals. So we need to create an entrepreneurship and innovation for social benefits. If we are going to develop skills of our learners, we need to understand and teach them entrepreneurship and innovation for societal benefits. By this way, by being smart, create real art of teaching by this pedagogy. Online learning environment should underline learner engagement and presence, social interaction and involvement, creating sense of community, and experiencing own learning. These should be success factors by considering leadership, design issues, technological issues, and delivery issues in the implementation of online learning. We need to consider learning for everyone. That's why accessibility standards, motivation, socialization, making a bridge for socialization and peer learning by the technology, developing research communication management by the transferable skills in online context are very essential for making learning for everyone. For the teacher side, we need to know our four heads metaphor in the pedagogic role, social role, managerial role, and technical role. Future skills are drawing by future profiles. So we need to consider organizational related, subject development related, and object related skills for making the future of the education based on the future skills needed. Developing skills by management of self, management of others, management information and tasks are very important. 9 ideas for concrete action today that UNESCO drove us to consider for the future of the education. We need to consider first the right to education, the understanding the value of the teaching profession and teacher collaboration by making democratic principles, justice, social justice in the education is very important. In this respect, I really want to underline global solidarity to understand the nature of the human being by sharing. So, what we are doing during the COVID-19 in our core practices, in our core values in the learning, in my courses, in my practices, of course, we have faced within the COVID-19 challenges, and we use online education. It is my area also, my research area. We use process-based learning, process-based assessment by underlining the engagement of the students to different tasks, for example, presentations, storytelling, research, homeworks, projects. Different way of learning context and environment makes our students to understand the giving the value of their own learning. Deep thinking question, diary writing, reflection reports, self-evaluation reports of their skills development, jury evaluation, station technique, and six metaphor techniques I have conducted as teaching activities in my online courses. These are some pictures we have done in our courses by presentation and by discussions. This is the teaching part. This part is an higher education system which gives a value for the societal action. So our vision in our Societal Research and Development Center, we try to integrate society and university together and collaborate with other institutions by doing research on societal issues. That's why we make an research, innovation, and competitiveness based on the needs of the society. What we have done, unobstructed information technology, unobstructed information technology days, internet child panel, happy family project, computer technology courses for people with disabilities are examples of our events. Also, we have done webinars, seminars about inclusive education and disability, and we need to know that human resource, accessibility, materials, inspection for developments are core concepts to consider in the inclusive education for the future policies. We created digital stories about secure school in special education school context. So we create an awareness how to create a secure school by digital stories for special education schools. Open educational resources, our collaboration, and these are the researchers which are related about societal issues. We create an accessibility report. We made an accessibility activities and seminars for making services for all. These are the Happy Family Project, idea workshop on disability. These are the days for social inclusion and integration of NGOs with disability NGOs and university platform. We try to create a smart society for higher education system reflection, and we take different ideas, different services about barrier-free society, unobstructed information technology, and smart society by considering education, health, communication, tourism, and environment. We have a project about national database to understand the needs and expectation people with disabilities by collaboration amongst association and different principles. In the campus-based activities about disability, we are making awareness activities, accessibility activities, infrastructure and unit activities. For the ending my presentation, by the ending of my presentation, I would like to give some suggestion for the future of education by creating this Laura model. We can see that after the COVID-19, Laura is going to be open and future of education will be grow by different experiences, different stories, different successes. While getting the future of education, we need to considering the well-being, how people become more well equipped for the future by the future of the education. So we need to be consider strategic management and sustainability. While considering the future of the education and well-being, we need to consider the roots of leadership by skills and styles, by considering intellectual capacity building and profession, by the transformational learning. Also, all these components in the larva, you can see the butterfly and sunflower nature. Sunflower leaves represents us different components: partnership, collaboration, motivation, culture, ethics, information technology, inclusiveness, risk management. These are solidarity. These are the core concepts we need to consider for the future of education in order to get these sustainable roles and goals together in a shared and in a peaceful, democratic, and understandable future. I am using every time a sunflower in my presentation. I thank you for all for your patience and listening to my presentation and my research studies. I use a sunflower because I believe bright futures needs wishes, good wishes, needs lies of the collaboration, solidarity, and I am sure that we are going to be successful by strong collaboration, by conducting societal issues and research for the future of the education. Thank you.